Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to the stream. I forgot to turn on the ring light. That was well done. Yeah, hope we're all doing well. Welcome to Leeds Lowdown Live, in which I'm going to talk you through all of the Leeds United shaped, flavoured, whatever you want to say, stories that have been going on in the last day or so. I'm going to plan on doing a few more of these throughout the rest of the transfer window. It'll depend on when I finish work and stuff as to when I'm able to do them. Some of them might be in the day, some of them are likely to be in the evening. But I thought I'd cover various ongoing stories at the moment, including specifically today. We have a little bit of discussion on Josh Guilavogüi's exit, a potential deal for a defender that's going on, some of the stuff on Alvin Sanchez, some of the stuff on Berisha, and then anything else that you guys want to talk over. Lack of prep is not. Look, to be fair, look at me. This isn't a good look. So we're not even starting from a good look. So who knows? It'll be fine. Just gotta quickly check a thing. Someone's asked me a very quick question. Maybe. Okay, cool. I mean, not anymore. I've learned. And on this one, I think there is a place for conversation on that. So we'll just start on the Guilavogui conversation. This is a story that has been floating around a little bit. I saw that Joe reported it earlier. I noted the story on News Now earlier as well. I decided to go for the sort of 3 potential attackers moves video instead, because I thought that could be quite interesting. But the general story behind this one, I've got a notebook and everything. Haha, talking about prepared. And I've got one of the things saving my page as well. It's good. It's good. The Guilavogui story. So there is currently interest in Josh Guilavogui from Paris FC, which makes sense because Paris FC is another club that is partially owned by Red Bull at the minute. Guilavogui only has 6 months left on his contract, so it wouldn't be too expensive from their side, and they are actively in the push for promotion. I'm just going to see where they are in their league. I think they're second, yes, behind Lorient, with 34 points from 18 matches. Imagine if 34 points in 18 matches could get you across the line in this division. That would be so nice. But a lot of people are having this conversation about the potential interest in Josh Guilavogui because we have a lot of our previously injured players back fit and ready, including Gruev back from injury, Ampadu back from injury. That was the period in which we signed him because we were like, oh, this is quite bad. And now we've let Sam Chambers out on loan because we've got depth, and there is potential that we could let go of Josh Guilavogui because in theory we've got depth. If I remember right, we've only got Guilavogui under contract until June. But I will just quickly check that to make sure. I think it's a short-term contract. Yes, it's until the end of this season, which says that he's able to talk to clubs internationally anyway. I personally doubt if we would keep him in the Premier League in any case if we were to go up. I don't think we keep him in the Championship if we were to stay down. So I can understand why these conversations are happening behind the scenes. I wouldn't let him go in January, to be completely clear. But in addition to that, I don't think we'd keep him in summer in any case. Having just 6 months on his contract says he's probably out the window. There is something to be said about the specifics surrounding the story itself that I'll have a dive into. And this is after I had a little bit of a chat with one of my colleagues over in France, who had a bit of a dive into the journalistic place that this came out of, and had a bit of a look and said, okay, so this is why you might trust them, this is why you might not. First up, they are a Paris-based outlet. It is, let's have a quick double check. It's Jeune Photo, which I can't remember the specific name of that in French, but I know how to pronounce it. It is Jeune Photo. It's fine. But the feedback that I got on them was that it's not someone that he'd particularly heard of before, which is not good considering he works in football journalism. Previously worked for... Who did you previously work for? I'm not sure. I think he was previously a journalist with Sky France or something along those lines. But he specifically said he hadn't heard of them. He quickly searched the outlet. The titles are primarily clickbait, so that's kind of bad. Wouldn't particularly trust it. So that's where I'm going to go with it. There is potentially a bit of an interest if you look into it and go, oh, Red Bull might be looking to strengthen things over there, but if you look at it, Red Bull themselves gain significantly more by us doing well than they do by Paris FC doing well, especially with the way that TV deals work over in France. It's nowhere near as lucrative as it is in the Premier League. So Josh Guilavogui to Paris FC, I feel, is going to be an absolutely probably not. I would very severely doubt that, and if that happened, I would be very confused. After each of these stories, I'm going to have a quick deep dive through all of the comments and just answer any questions that you might have. But yeah, there is also this, the sort of big brothery advisory. God fucking sorry, I've got the Scum Southampton match on in the background. I was really hoping that they'd be embarrassed by Southampton. It's 1-1 now. Really annoying. But yeah, his sort of behind the scenes morale stuff that he's doing is also really important, and it's been mentioned by various players and by the club itself, and is a big part of the conversation. I'm dreading if Farke does well in the Premier League next season, the amount of pelters I get will be outrageous. I can add to the pile of pelters because you seem to already be under the assumption that we're going to be in the Premier League next season. And what would that mean? That means that Daniel Farke's done his job pretty well. You will absolutely be in for many, many pelters. Without a doubt, you're in trouble. Guilavogui leaving frees up wages and a spot on the bench. I don't know if it does free up the spot on the bench, though, because if you're just signing another player to play over him, he will completely understand that, because he knows that he was a free signing, and if anything, this is just his route back in. I do agree that he'll leave on a free, though. I think in the summer, on a free, makes sense. I don't feel we'll get any pennies for it. I'll be completely honest with you. In fact, I'm going to have a look at the Paris FC side. See if they actually need a midfielder. Because at the moment, I'm not too sure. They've got a hell of a lot of midfielders. Adama Kamara, Maxim Lopez, Vincent Marchetti, Luan Doucet, and then a couple of youth players. They could do with a bit of experience. They were in the same shoes as we were a while back, but he would be their oldest player to get minutes if he went and played. So I severely doubt this move. It feels like a little bit of conversation that's been drummed up by, I don't even know who. It could just be Jean Fouteau, who are sort of going, wouldn't it be nice if this happened? And it's not worked out because Paris FC is sort of like the hipster Paris club that everyone kind of likes. It's not quite the same as Red Star Paris, I don't think. Thank you very much, Rick. I appreciate that. I've said it'll get us. It's next year when my dad started. If Farke does well, I may have to move abroad till it blows over. I think with financial backing, he'll genuinely be fine. He's no worse than any other manager that we could get for the start of a Premier League season. So, anyway, we're done Guilavogui. Firmly of the opinion that Josh Guilavogui does not leave the club and will stay until the end of his contract, and I think will be thanked for his time spent at Leeds United. Next up, we need to talk about the Alvin Sanchez stuff. I've covered this in a video earlier on, but I thought this is a better space in which to get any questions that you might have. Alvin Sanchez, I'm going to have a quick look at my notes, is considered the greatest talent in Swiss football at the moment. He's a very young player. He's 21, not maybe approaching his 22nd birthday. I'll have a quick look. Come on. For some reason, FBref always runs really slowly. There we go. Yes, he's currently 21, but he will be 22 on the 12th of February. So happy birthday in a month's time to Alvin Sanchez. His birthday's 5 days later than mine, which is fun. But he's a genuinely very good player. Can play as a cam, can play as a 10, plays as a 9, can play in central midfield, can do all sorts of stuff, can play out wide as well. Very much a player that will be playing in one of Europe's top 5 leagues very, very soon. I've got zero doubt about that. And he has already said that this is going to be his last season at, and I'm going to try and pronounce their stadium's name correctly here, Stade de la Tuileries, which I don't know if that's right. I hope it's right, for Lausanne in the Swiss League. But he also said that he's going to stay there till the end of the season. So that's pouring a hell of a lot of water on that particular fire. I don't see any way in which he leaves that side. The amount of support that he's had from his manager, the amount of backing that he's gotten from his club is colossal, and it would be wild for his agent right now. And he has changed agent to try and get a move at some point soon. But if I'm in his shoes and you've got the backing that you've got as such a young player, you don't turn your back on that in the slightest. That is how you ultimately lose out on a hell of a lot of goodwill with fans, and you could sort of screw up your career. So I think he's going to take the wise move. He's going to stay where he is for now, and then in the long run, that's where you're going to see him make a move, which makes sense. Like, there's no particular risk in that one to me. I think he's going to move in the summer to, I want to hope, England. If we put in a bid, that'd be absolutely fantastic. It'd be really nice, especially if we sort out number 10 on loan for the second half of the season, which I kind of want us to do. It does seem like the kind of move that is well suited to going to France, I'll be honest with you. I can't even tell you why. He's just got that vibe of finds himself in the French league and tries to make a career there instead. I would love Alvin Sanchez because everything I've seen of him is really good, and I keep signing him on Football Manager. Do I sign him for the save that I've got going right now? Maybe. Let me know. Let me know in the chat if I should sign him in my current save. On that, I've done a game offline so I could get us to the transfer window, and I've signed a goalkeeper. Not anyone that we could sign in real life, but for the FM save, banger signing. But yeah, I'm very much sort of hyped for that. On this, I don't believe he is free to have conversations with other clubs if we are still talking Sanchez. If we're talking about Guilavogui, yes, he's free to talk to whoever he wants outside England. In theory, he could talk to Cardiff, I think, because it's considered a foreign FA by FIFA. But yeah, he is... That hurts a bit. He's free to talk to international clubs as much as he likes at this stage. I think we get Emmy on loan with an option to buy at the end of the season late in the market. I don't see that happening because everyone was sort of saying how Villa are going to need to let someone go because they've made a signing. They did make a signing, but they also let someone go. They let Jaden Philogene go to Ipswich for, I think, £30 million, which means that Philogene was at the club for... Let's just have a quick look at Transfermarkt and see if it says the specific month that he made the move. Because I think he was there for, what, 5 months, maybe? Played very little football, wasn't good enough, and immediately found himself in Ipswich. Under 6 months. He moved from Hull to Villa on the 19th of July and went from Villa to Ipswich on the 15th of January, which is not a good place to be if you're a player. Somehow Villa made a profit on him as well. And he didn't really play much, so I think Ipswich have really sort of screwed the pooch on that one. They've got Ramsey and Marlon now for that position. Marlon's more of a striker, isn't he? Every time I've seen Marlon for work, he's been more of a 9. But I'm just going to double check it. I can play across the line, but Marlon's not really a 10. I don't know. I think they keep Buendia for depth. I think we won't make that move for Buendia just because I don't see him wanting to drop down a division. Ipswich have gotten beat. I saw Georgie scored because I've had the Scum Southampton match in the background, and because I'm using an international feed because DAZN, it occasionally pops in. You're fucking kidding me! They've just scored a second. Sorry, Southampton in the last 10 minutes have just thrown away a 1-0 lead. Are you kidding me? Well, that's miserable. Good evening, CB. I was really hoping that they'd be embarrassed by Southampton, but it seems to have not happened, which is fine. But I can see the Alvin Sanchez one ultimately not happening, purely based on the fact that that's a very, very difficult move for us to get done. Like, he doesn't want to move yet. We don't necessarily have £7.5 million right now. We could do a loan to buy, but that doesn't benefit his club in the slightest. When last season they came 10th in the league, currently they're 3rd, 1 point off the top. I think for everyone's benefit, this is going to be a moves in the summer kind of vibe. Whether it's to us or whether it's someone else, I'd quite like him, but caught me on alive. I know. Buenos dias, righteous one. We'll have to wait to the death for Emmy, and that'll be a big gamble. I think we just don't look at Buendia. I think Buendia is not the shout. I understand the people that think he is, Like, he's a good player, absolutely. I have zero doubt about that, but not for me. I don't think he's the signing that works here. Can't be certain. Not feeling it. I can't lie. How did Southampton go up last season? Because we couldn't find a way to beat the way they played in midfield. Which meant that every time we played against them, we struggled to get control, like we would in every other game of football. And if we... Let's have a look, actually, at the championship table from last season. Yeah. If instead of losing to them twice, we beat them twice in the league, we go up on goal difference. If we beat them in the playoff final, we go up on playoffs. So, yeah, I think Southampton being our kryptonite ultimately did us in a little bit there. We're still hoping that better deals take longer to complete. I mean, they do, and we've seen that this is just sort of the way that the 49ers do things. It does sort of annoy me, but that's more from the content creation perspective of there's so very rarely much news, which makes things quite hard to think of stuff. But the terrible we had Georgie Archie. I know, but they weren't terrible last season. 87 points, which is not bad in the slightest. Oh, that nearly went in. I know what you're aiming for here. I know what you're trying to do. But at the same time, I think the most messed up thing here is enjoying sausage in an omelette. Just do sausage and egg. Don't mix them. Don't mix them. That messes with things. It's no good. Not ideal. You sell the beef with that Cockney Leeds fan who talks about hockey. You want about KG? I'm still blocked on his channel. I'm still happy to have a conversation because that entire stream I did after the fact was like, we shouldn't be blocking people. Let's do dialogue. Everyone benefits from having a conversation because everyone learns from everyone else. And I didn't do anything. Still got a bit unblocked. So I'm happy to have a chat, but I don't have a means through which to do that. But if that's what expressing an opinion about Patrick Bamford on a stream explicitly about no shot is it 3-1. That's why Southampton are going down. But yeah, if that's what expressing an opinion gets on a stream specifically about that topic, whatever. Sometimes I make a mini fry up and put it all in a big omelette. I like that. That's a good idea. I don't see how the beans work. The beans don't suit that. No. I was watching Joe's podcast earlier this evening. It said that transfers in January won't happen until late in the window when Domino's begins to fall. Yeah, I'm in the same sort of boat on that one. It'll be waiting a good while before anything actually does happen. And when it does, I think it'll be good. I'll be honest, I don't think we even make any transfers in January during this January transfer window. I think they're going to be February because the window goes to the 3rd. So thank you, Hiccups. That was nice of you. So I can genuinely see it going over till the 3rd, which would be interesting. Aronson's been good, but that's just down to his work rate. His final pass and finishing is what Farke's team need with Ampadu and Tanaka. I think you can find that same passing and finishing elsewhere, though. You don't need to look at Buendia because I don't honestly think Buendia is the shout. Yeah, I'm in the same sort of boat. I think we'll get someone, and I think it's just a matter of patience and finding the move that we are going to make when it comes to it. That's honestly not a conversation that I'm particularly bothered with. I'm not going to have a go at someone for the housing situation. But if, as I keep saying, I'm here for a conversation if you want to have one. No beans, mushrooms. Is that no beans and no mushrooms, or is that no beans but mushrooms instead? Because I can back that. I've never been a fan of beans. Too juicy, you know? Right, okay. I'll do these in quick succession because I'm going to get onto the next story in a minute's time. Does Melee need replacing this month? Yes, but with Carl Darlow, we already have the resources in the club. What's happened to Nonto? Nothing has happened to Nonto. he's just having a little bit of a moderate decline, because that happens with young players. You're not always going to be on that constant upward trajectory. It's going to wibble a little bit, but as long as he's roughly a decent enough player, then it's not a problem for us. Although that Saudi conversation is bollocks. I see absolutely nothing behind that. And how are the pyramids made? External ramp theory. Because you couldn't transport the blocks for the pyramids up the inside because the ramps would have to be too steep. So a ramp going up the outside is an easier way of doing that. There we go. That was quick succession. Anyway, done with Sanchez. Morgan Berisha is an interesting little chap, I think. Primarily because it's a move that I don't understand. It's one where it feels like it's being agent pushed, given the sort of amount of oomph behind. Sorry, I've just seen Graham's message. Maybe they did, who knows? Given the amount of oomph behind it and the amount of sort of linking that hasn't come from the Leeds side. So the Yorkshire Evening Post said it's merely rumours. And in the event that you've got one of the more reliable sources on the Leeds side saying there's not really anything in this, and then various media organisations on the German side saying, oh, Leeds are interested, you sort of land in the territory of, is this the 49ers being sneaky peeky? Or is this the agent is just saying, who needs a number 9? Let's rifle up a conversation to try and get some interest going. That's roughly where I'm sitting on the Berisha stuff, especially since he hired a completely new agent at some point recently, which screams, I'm pushing for a move to me. But I don't... Yeah, that's all I can really see. He's been out of the squad for the last 2 matches, which says that there is going to be a move coming for him, because he's a decent enough player. And it feels like it's okay, you're pushing for a move, I'm going to drop you so you don't get injured and we can actually make this move happen. Which is wise on the Hoffenheim side. But yeah, this conversation's a bit weird. I think if we do end up going for a 9, it's going to be someone very, very different. I'd love to say who. I don't know. I wish I did. It'd be nice. What do you think of the actual rumours to Real? I don't think that's a thing at all. I think that's just Real Madrid fans doing what Real Madrid fans do and just saying things into a void and hoping that it works. Is this to the pyramids thing, or is this... Is that what we're going with? That's what we're going with, Sean. The pyramids were built with by Autanaka, which absolutely makes sense to me. I'm not gonna deny this, because he's the kind of man that's got the strength and the composure and the ability, and he wouldn't even need to like build them. He'd just ping a long ball, it'd bounce off one of the bricks hard enough to just make it like marble its way up. And there you go. Do you ever go to Bloomfield Road, Blackpool? My second team used to live in Bispam. I've been once. It was a pretty nothing match, if I remember right. It might have been a League Cup match last season. But yeah, not often, mainly because when Blackpool play, Leeds play, and at the same time as that, when Blackpool play, I have work, which makes it even harder. I would like to more often, but I don't really get the opportunity. I do play football in Bispam, though, which is a nice little link up at the college. A little bit of 7-a-side football. I'm goalkeeping next season. I've got my new gloves too. Oh, look at these. Oh, look at these sleek boys. Sadly, I had to do the goalkeeping warm-up this week because our normal goalkeeper wasn't there. So whilst I like them being nice and shiny and like white on the latex, no, they've already been kerfuffled. But the sticky boys, look at that. Oh, they're so good. Right. But that's a story for a different time. I think they know exactly who they want. They're waiting for the last minute for a good deal. I think that's also the case, yeah. Because a club that wants to release a player will wait as long as they can. Well, they won't wait as long as they can, but they will need a player off their books in order to save wages. And I think that's ultimately the direction it's going to go. Berisha's too like Bamford's goal scoring record ain't good. Of all Leeds United players last season, Patrick Bamford scored the most goals per 90. That is all. This was weird, right? Someone put a comment on one of my videos and was like, making excuses again, comparing him to wingers. Wingers don't score. And it's like, no, I'm comparing him to everyone in the squad, including the number 9 Piru and Mateo Joseph, and the wingers. One of the wingers who won Player of the Season. So yeah, I am comparing him to wingers, but also everyone else. I wish I could say this. I don't know. I honestly don't understanding. Don't understand. But I also don't understanding how to pronounce understand. Yeah, I'm not sure. But the fact that it happens so consistently is very annoying because it makes it very hard to defend to the point where even I'm like, okay, I think we give you to the end of the season, then we probably call it. Because you hit a point where it's just like, okay, right, guess this is still happening. Bloody hamstrings. How many goals he scored this season? Let's have a look. I can't quite remember. I just know that per 90 he was at 0.51, I think. I am going per 90 because I'm going on pure, like, when they're on the pitch. Because at the same time, like, I could quite easily make the argument that Luis Sinisterra is a worse winger than Sam Byram because Sinisterra scored once. No. You measure by per 90. And per 90, all competitions. Let's have a look. It's going to take a moment to load, but we'll get into Omobamidele in a minute's time. I love saying that name. I hope we sign him just so I can say that name more often. If you've not yet, by the way, I'd hugely appreciate someone popping a like on the stream. We're currently at 25. There's 61 of you fine folks here right now. So just boop the button. Boop. Just boop. Yeah, that's not how that works, though. Because 90 minutes is still 90 minutes. Like, come on. Let's not take the piss here. 90 minutes has the same value whether or not you played 2 weeks ago or not. For some reason, FB Ref not loading, not having it, which is honestly a pain in the ass. Let's close you. Let's close you. That'll do it. There we go. Bosh. Right. So total goals, got himself 9, but then again, didn't play that much football. Toggle stats. Goals per 90, 0.5. It's a goal every 180 minutes, which outstrips, in order, Somerville, James, Piru, Nonto, Sinisterra, Gelhart, Roberts, Strauch, Anthony, Rutte. Rutte was at. Well, you got Mateo as well, but he started 2 games of football, so. I think it's all you do, I'll be completely honest with you. But I respect it. It's powerful in a way, you know? Has some influence. Right, I'm going to set a redirect up, but it's going to be a very, very specific, weird redirect, and you guys are going to have to trust me with it. Okay. There is also this, he just didn't recover from Motorball very well. But we do have another story to discuss, which is that of... I've completely forgotten his first name. Andrew is his first name, which I wasn't expecting. Omobamidele, who is a centre-back / right-back / left-back that is currently at Nottingham Forest. Now, Nottingham Forest, very, very strong side this season. We're not going to deny it. We're not going to be like, oh, it's a flash in the pan. Sure, you can be a flash in the pan for 5-8 games of football. When you are, let's have a look at how many matches they've played. 21 matches into a season, you're on about 2 points per game, and you're beating Newcastle, Chelsea, City, Villa, Brighton, that's where you start to admit they're having a very good season. Partially because they just threw money at the wall a couple of years back, and now here they are. And it seems to be working for them. But in that big shuffle, some people are always going to lose out. One of those people being Omobamidele, which I now realise I have misspelt because it's Omobamidele. There we go. Let's bring him back. Centre-back that showed a lot of promise when he was at Norwich under Daniel Farke, I believe. And moved to Nottingham Forest. I will find out how much for. Give me a second. Yeah, there we go. Moved for about 13 million euros. So let's call it 11 million quid-ish from Norwich to Forest on the 1st of September 2023. Very late in the window move. It was one of those where Forest are sort of scrambling and being like, shit, we kind of need some footballers. Footballers. And yet, what sort of happened was the rest of Forest's window at that point. So if I take a look at all of their transfers, their all-time transfers, and I present my screen. Cool. So, in the season that he arrived, they also signed Andre Santos and Montiel and Ribeiro and Origi and Ola Aina and Gio Reyna. I completely forgot that he went to Forest. Nuno Tavares, Hudson-Odoi, Lashodimos, Nicolas Dominguez, Matt Sells, who is a very good goalkeeper, Matt Turner, that's 2 goalkeepers, Murillo, Omobamidele, Chris Wood, Alanga, Ibrahim Sangare. The year before that was even bigger. And this season, also huge. Many signings. Many signings. Which means that for the likes of Omobamidele, if I switch to this tab, he ain't had no Premier League minutes this year. He's had fewer minutes than an 18-year-old, Eric da Silva Moreira, who I've never heard of, which is bad. He's had fewer minutes than Danilo, who I can only assume got injured because he started a match and got 14 minutes. Has he played in any competitions this season? Yes, he's played an EFL Cup match that went to extra time, which isn't great, let's be honest. Which means, as a result, he's thinking to himself, could probably do with being somewhere else to actually play some football. He's going to be in the Joe Gelhardt kind of situation. Let's have a look. He is 22 and 207 days. Let's have a look at Gelhardt. Is 22, 257 days. He's still a very young player that needs a bit of football to continue to develop, and he is at a decent enough level, in my opinion. So if you take a look at his page on FBref here, and you look at last season, 8 starts, 11 matches played, decent number of minutes, didn't perform too badly. There is very, very definitely a player in Omobamidele, but the fact of the matter is, Forest are going to keep doing their thing right now. It's what Graham said, basically. The players in front of Omobamidele are really good. They're very good. They are top-tier footballers at the moment, literally and metaphorically, which means that he's just not even sat on the bench. I noted down a pretty fun fact. I say fun. From his perspective, a slightly miserable fact. Just to warn you, by the way, it is about to run an ad in a second. I will do the fun fact after the fact, but I'm going to press the ad button, just click on it, swipe back, you'll be back as soon as possible, and there will be minimal disruption. YouTube doing YouTube things. So I will give it a minute. If you're an ad person, tell me what you got advertised to you. That'd be nice. Thank you. And if you're not an ad person, stick around, I guess. Shall we play some smooth jazz whilst we wait for the ad people to come back? That'd be quite nice. I'm not gonna, but it's a fun idea, you know? The theory is nice. Also, you must like if you're still watching. Smash the like button, please. Graham's right. Graham's got a good take on this one. Thank you, Graham. Be more Graham. But XTB Zlatan, what? But on the Omobamidele stuff, having a look at the players that are in front of him, it's very, very easy to see why he's been kept out of the squad, and the extent to which he's been kept out of the squad is ridiculous. He's been out of the Forest side since October. He's had 3 months of not being in a match day squad just because of the talent that sat in front of him. I'm going to look by number of appearances because it's going to be ridiculous. But Olaina is in there. Murillo, ridiculously good player up there. Nikola Milenkovic, incredible. Murato has a bunch of appearances. Willy Bolly, getting older, but is still firmly in that conversation. And you get in a spot where if you're Omobamidele, you just sort of go, what can I do? Because he's not had the minutes to prove himself, and he's not had sort of the space and flexibility to force his way in. So it's tough. Got enough from Melier signed goalkeeper gloves. Oh, should get them. Be great. And ultimately, I think that the Omobamidele thing, I will get that just consistent at some point. That point isn't yet, but it'll happen. But I think with the Omobamidele thing, he's very, very clearly a quality player. There is a lot of good to him. But is he going to be able to transfer that to the Championship? I think so. He can play on the right, he can play in the middle, he can play on the left. He can do the entire gamut of what we need. That's a fun word. But I think he needs a move, whether that's a loan or a loan to buy or something along those lines. We could do with a little bit more depth, let's be honest, because we're 2 centre-back injuries away from going, shit, it's Foba and Ampadu, who are both going to be out of position in that instance. And I just think that for safety and security for us, it's a must. Or we have some very, very, very big risks. And he's not the most expensive either, because he's not played too much, which is good. It all adds up. It's very nice. I still think it was weird. I still think they made the wrong call on that, because if you have a quick look, Omobamidele, there we go, is the perfect example of why I think they made some pretty big mistakes with their transfer strategy in that year. Because whilst, yeah, they got a year of football out of him, in that year he had 11 Premier League appearances, which isn't much, and it says to me that they sort of overbought. And yeah, they had to, because when they got promoted, they did it heavily on the back of a lot of loans. But to be honest with you, like their longest term player, their longest tenured footballer at that club right now is Ryan Yates, who's been there since 2016. Fair enough. Solid amount of time. The second most recent player they signed, the second longest term player is Taiwo Awoniyi. Signed from Union Berlin in 2022. The amount of cycling through players that they do means that they're in a position where a lot of the money that they spent is wasted. So they got themselves into an FFP problem for no reason, because they just spent on too many players, which kind of collapsed them under their own weight for a while there. Let's have a quick look. Signed for Forest in July of 2022. Went out on loan to DC United in March 2023 for Lewis O'Brien. And he hasn't really played for the club since. So, yeah, they made some good signings. but they made a hell of a lot of signings that were worthless. And for the moment, yeah, from like every direction that you could possibly look at it, cheating kind of does win. Because Man City, I've heard some interesting things about Man City that I will potentially dive into in a future thing if it's accurate. But Manchester City have many, many titles and have not been punished for breaking all the financial rules. Everton managed to stay up. Sheffield United looking like they're going to get promoted. So I think, and to be completely clear here, FFP rules are good. They are genuinely fantastic for just keeping football secure and good and protected from colossal financial interests. The concern that I've got is that the punishments aren't enough. And on this one, saying Leeds are too nice, we should bend the rules more, I can promise you the moment we try and bend the rules a little bit, that's the season that they'll start giving a shit. That is the season where they'll go, oh, okay, I guess we're going to start punishing things with hefty penalties. And that's where we'd end up going down. And I'll be honest, I kind of like us following the rules. As nice as it is to be like, oh, we're dirty Leeds, we play against everything. It doesn't feel good to be in a spot where we're all saying, let's just break the rules. It'll be good. It'll be fantastic. Because then you could get in a position like Leicester in right now, where Leicester are currently 19th. I have them as firm favourites to go down alongside Southampton. I don't know who else is going to drop. I can maybe see Everton, because I don't think David Moyes is a very good manager. But when Leicester come down, the way that they haven't got an FFP charge in the Premier League is they said, oh, we did all that in the EFL. So when they do come back down, fucked. Game over. And that is why I don't want us to try and play around with it. Because all those loopholes that other clubs have been exploiting, after they've exploited them, get just slammed shut. And if we take the risk of saying, we'll break the rules, I'm sure there's some loopholes. Yeah, and they've been used by Man City, by Leicester, by Nottingham Forest, by Everton. And eventually you're going to get to the point where those loopholes are danger. Which is bad, I would say. Yeah, we'd be made an example of. And I don't think, I'll be honest with you, I don't think the FA is doing enough making examples of clubs. Because FFP is a joke right now. Like the biggest FFP deduction in English football at the moment. Let's have a quick look through the EFL. 1 second. Yeah. The biggest and only points deduction in the top 4 divisions of English football went to Sheffield United, who, compared to Everton and compared to Forest and compared to Man City, who've been doing this for years and winning obscene amounts of trophies, they get away with it. But Sheffield United got relegated. And because they got relegated, I imagine it was a case of, well, not a Premier League club, we can punish you now. Which is a pain. New coming in. I believe I'll run through a very quick rundown of the stories that we've had so far. Guilavogui, I think he's staying until the summer. I don't think we will renew his contract, but that's completely fine by me. Alvin Sanchez will not come in the January window. I think if he's going to make a move, it's going to be in... Where'd the end of that sentence go? Summer. Omobamidele could make a move. It looks like he's going to make a move somewhere in this window, and I genuinely think we are one of the... That curl is going wild again. I think we are one of the better placed sides to make that happen. And Berisha, I don't see happening. Nothing has been mentioned from the Leeds side. It feels very agent talky. If I'm wrong, brilliant. But that's the direction I'm sort of inclined to think that it is at the minute. I do think we could do with a 10. I would love an Ilan Cabal, but we can't sign Cabal for the same reason that we wouldn't let Guilavogui go to Paris FC. Both sides want a player from the other side, but both sides are in promotion battles and can't really afford to lose out. Can clubs get direct points through fans fighting? I imagine so. It sounds like a thing. At the very least, you could get colossal fines. Examples of points deductions in English football. Late payment of wages, FFP, 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 administration, various breaches of rules. Okay, that wasn't fan violence, that was basically FFP. Administration, FFP, FFP. Brentford had 3 points added when a fixture versus Bolton went unplayed, which is quite interesting. Ineligible player, administration, FFP. There's nothing that wait, that's a misconduct, but I don't think it's fan misconduct. I don't think so. Oh, no, wait, never mind. There is an example of it, ish, sort of. Not for fighting, but in 96-97, Brighton were deducted 2 points for pitch invasions. But it is usually just fines and stuff, and ways of telling clubs off. Yeah, I think if they do go down, then they are going to get battered by the EFL. It's not going to be a fun time for them, in the slightest. It wasn't -15 for being skint. I think we were set to get like a -5 maybe, and then Cam Bates was like, oh, "We'll appeal it," and that's where the the EFL got mad at us. Yeah, we got -15 because of Cam Bates. Yeah, that loophole has now also been slammed shut, but annoying. I think we looked in lower leagues in Europe for players. How do you mean? I don't think looking for League One players is going to be ideal here. Who's the first Prem team to get a points deduction? Don't Google. Oh. I don't know because I wasn't alive at the start of the Premier League. Oldham will be my guess, but not as a team in the Premier League. I'm going team that was in the Premier League and then got relegated down and then had problems because it feels right. I'm now going to check because I reserve the right. Oh, Borough for unauthorised postponement of a match. 3 points deducted. I think they'll have a point deduction if they drop to the Championship. Absolutely, they will. Yeah, no doubt about that. They'd get EFL'd up the chuff, and I think if they drop out of the Champions League, they are also going to have EFL'd, FFP'd, both FFP'd by the EFL. But I think even if they drop out of the Champions League, they are in trouble because Champions League revenues are ridiculously good, and if they lose those, they're not looking good as is, and that would just deepen things. Who else has got points deductions in Premier League? Portsmouth got one for administration. Then Champo, League 2, Champo. They didn't update it. That's fine. That is Vol's knowledge, fair enough. Are the rules changing next season? I don't know if they're confirmed. Let's have a look. FFP rules changes. I don't know if I trust this because... Right, Right, in theory, that applies for this season. Okay. PSR is set to be scrapped, replaced with squad cost control. Clubs will be allowed to spend a set percentage of annual turnover on the wage bill for the first team and coaching staff, plus amortised transfer costs of transfer fees and agent fees. The major difference between Premier League and UEFA regulations is that the Premier League will offer a two-tier system, with clubs playing in European competitions only able to spend 70% of turnover, whilst clubs not in Europe spend 85%. I quite like that. That levels things out a little bit. Clubs that breach Premier League rules will still be subject to points deductions. Let's have a look. Yeah, I kind of prefer that system, to be honest with you. And it suits us because we have brilliant revenues, especially if you're looking at Red Bull stuff. Because, like, as sponsors and part owners, they can just go, cool, money, which would be absolutely brilliant for us. Like, it's all good. It did, but it's going to happen. It is what it is. I didn't let them get minus 30. They did, yes. Can't remember what for, but when I was scrolling through, it was fine. But yeah, that covers the various players that we've been discussing. That covers FFP rules, and I'm going to hop over to one of our favourite places. One of our favourite places in the world. We're going to questions. Go on. We are going to have a little bit of a natter over in questions corner. If you've got any questions, chuck them in the chat. I'm going to go until I've been streaming for about an hour. That feels like a reasonable stream length. But yeah, we can talk about any rumours that you guys have picked up that I haven't quite discussed, because I know there's going to be stuff that's going on that I haven't realised, which is always interesting. Sorry, I've just spotted a news story that I wasn't aware of. Apparently Ben Davies would be interested in a move to Leeds. I don't think we're interested in Ben Davies. That'd be weird. Oh. So if tomorrow you found out we live in a simulation, would you live your life any differently? That's a really good question. That's a really philosophical question. No. Because I don't know if there's anything that I would actually be able to do about that fact. So being in a simulation doesn't change anything. So no, I'd probably live exactly the same way. Do you think we should try Tanaka at number 10? No. I think of the other central midfielders, Rothwell is the one to try, but even then I wouldn't necessarily want to do it. Because that feels like that is sort of drifting towards experiment territory, which is bad. Ooh. Latte Lat is not going to be a Leeds deal because it's been reported that Atlanta United have reached a verbal agreement to sign him for $20 million. Just waiting on personal terms. Well, I honestly don't think Latte Lat would have been good for us. I don't think he's the right sort of player, looking at his profile. Melier, Hubka, and Silvestri start bench and sell. Melier has had a very, very strong actual run in the Premier League. So, based on that, I'm going to back him. Bench, Silvestri, Rahubka, sell. Yeah, it's like when it comes to the if you're a brain in a jar, what do you do? Conversation. It's like I don't. I'm a brain in a jar. I don't know if I got hands. If I got hands, I'd probably try and climb out the jar. I don't know if I can climb out the jar. Probably stuck in the jar. That's fine by me. For irregular transfer deals. Ooh. Well, now I've got something that I need to read up on. It's like a rich tax overspend and get fined that amount, something like that. I don't like that though, because if you overspend, then any fine is just like a cost of doing business. So the rich just get to keep doing the same things, which is sort of annoying because if you've cheated by breaking the rules, then you just get to spend more money and then suddenly the consequences are gone. That feels like a bad decision to me. That feels like a system that is just screaming out as like, hello, this system's very breakable. Let's not do that. Let's avoid the very, very breakable systems. Thank you. I thought so. And then I got proven wrong. We tried our Ken Bates be a granddad or have a scum shirt tattooed. Um, I've got to do a quick Google. Okay, I can't find it. I've searched for Ken Bates' net worth, and it's big. So we need better coaching / coaches, not yet more players. You see, I can't back that because like we don't see training, so we don't exactly know what's going on with the coaching and the coaches. So it's quite hard to say we need better coaching / coaches when at the same time said coaching and coaches has gotten us to the top at the minute. It's gotten us to where we are now, and where we are now is a pretty damn good spot to be. Yeah, I'm following this line of logic. I think Russia style, he mysteriously falls from a window, and then suddenly, surprisingly, Ken Bates' net worth becomes my net worth. The result of coaching is evident in the result. Right, okay. 1 second. Just to make a quick point. Where are we? Which is the right page? That's the right page. Share screen. And I quote, "The result of coaching is evident in the results." Not bad coaching, is it? Like, gets you pretty firmly in first place. Sorry, second place, because you know the fact that you cheated financially is apparently completely fine, and you shouldn't have been punished. Do you think some of those players that you signed for a significant amount more money than you should have potentially paid has something to do with the fact that you're quite a good team now? Or no? No? I don't quite think you can put individual errors on coaching, but sure. Bates, Smith, Chilino, Snog, Marivold. Right, I'm avoiding Bates. Snog, Chilino, purely because being married to him would be a nightmare, and by process of elimination, it's marrying Delia. Wasn't Delia a TV cook? Because if so, yeah, sod it. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely that way around. I would absolutely go for... Hold on, I want to see what one of her most upvoted recipes is. I would absolutely go for pork with pickled walnut stuffing. Never mind. God. What else is on the recipes list? You know, we'll end by looking at a daily recipe. That'll do. There we go. A provincial winter stew from France. There we go. That'll solve it. Anyway, I've been streaming for an hour, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take us back to Questions Corner. I'll do one more question, and then I'm going to end the stream there because I'm a tired boy, and I still have to feed rabbits and stuff. And I'll take that as the question. Who worries you most? Sheffield United, Burnley, Sunderland. Sunderland, I think, have a little bit too much inconsistency in them. Beyond that, hard to say. I want to say Burnley feel less threatening because they're very reliant on that back line. A little bit of context, they've scored fewer goals than Coventry. They've scored the same amount of goals as Derby, and they're 18th. They've scored one more than Portsmouth, who are 23rd. That's why I would say that Burnley are at risk. There are a couple of big defensive injuries away from kaput. So I'm going to lean Burnley Woods, I think. Although, if I'm ever leaning Burnley Woods, then I might feel quite ill because that means I'm in Burnley, and no one ever wants to do that. Would you rather have your balls on your chin or your chin on your balls? Chin balls, because with chin balls, it's less visible. As in chin on your balls, not ball chin. Yeah, it's less visible. Fewer people are going to see it because it's hidden the vast majority of the time. Bath or shower? Bath. Bath is more chill. Bath every day of the week. You see, but now I want to keep streaming until I get to 50 likes. I'm on 49 right now, so if anyone hasn't liked, and you could wear a scarf, but then you're wearing a scarf all the time, which it takes the freedom out of your wardrobe choices. But yeah, whichever dickhead unliked. You're a monster. What do you mean easy? Not going to address that one. Not going to touch that one in the slightest. I'm going to have one quick look at news now, actually, just to see if there's anything that I am missing before I end the stream. Buendia stuff. It's not going to happen. Leeds could use loophole to seal new January transfer, multi-million-pound bid made. I doubt that one's true. Let's give it a look. It's the Davila one, which has already been turned down by many people. Stupid. Anyway. Oh, and we might get City in the FA Youth Cup 5th round. Anyway, right. I'm going to end the stream there. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, pop a like on it. That's always really appreciated. Subscribe if you're not yet as well. That helps the channel sort of keep on growing, which is always really nice. You could even be a channel member if you're not yet. That's always really appreciated too. It's £1 a month, and it gives you a bunch of stuff early and things like that. Not so much in January because I prefer to do newsy stuff and then immediately release it. But it is what it is. Hope you enjoyed. I will see you later. Toodaloo. I might have a bath now.